In the NBA, young players typically need a lot of patience throughout their rookie seasons because the adjustment to the level of play they're up against night in and night out is more rigorous than most of them have ever experienced before. Most rookies are objectively bad players, but that doesn't mean they don't show the potential to be great down the line. Inefficiency, mental lapses, and inconsistency plague them, but after they get one season under their belts, we see a lot of players emerge in a big way in their second seasons, and that's exactly what we're here to discuss in today's video. Today we'll be going through 5 players going into their second seasons that I believe are destined to break out in a big way this year after having pretty underwhelming and unremarkable rookie seasons. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first player that I believe is about to break out in a big way in his second season is Ron Holland of the Detroit Pistons. Ron Holland was one of the last prospects to be drafted from the G League Ignite program before it got shut down, and from day one, competing against professional athletes, his ridiculous athleticism and explosiveness as a slasher jumped off the screen down in the G League. He was a 6'8" shooting guard who wanted to get to the rim every chance he got and every time he touched it, and at most levels that kind of size, skills as a ball handler, and explosiveness will thrive, but his jumper was a big-time work in progress, and in the NBA, defenses are smart enough to sniff out a weakness like that glaring and exploit it, which made it hard for the Pistons to trust him in a role any bigger than 15 minutes per game as a rookie. He shot just 23% from 3 last year, and scored about 6 points per game, which isn't going to turn many heads, but this summer, Holland has been putting in the work, addressing all of his weaknesses head-on, and is coming into year 2 with a lot more confidence in those areas. On top of the weak jumper, Holland came in pretty thin for a 6'8" player, weighing in at about 205 pounds as a rookie. Banking on getting minutes in the backcourt probably wasn't ever going to be a reliable hope for him, so with that frame, bulking up could earn him more minutes in the front court, and he's been doing exactly that, posting evidence recently of him weighing closer to 215 pounds, showing that he's focused on getting stronger to embrace more physicality from bigger matchups. For reference, teammate Tobias Harris weighs in at about 225 pounds and is the same height as Holland, so Ron still has a ways to go bulking up, but the fact that he's putting in the work to get there is encouraging nonetheless. Then, when we look at how he performed in the Summer League, we saw a player that was oftentimes the best player on the court in those games. In addition to getting to the rim at will and finishing much better through contact, he also showed off a much more useful 3-point shot, hitting 47% of his threes in the event. Of course, the Summer League is a pretty small sample size, but it's still encouraging to see the confidence being there in his ability to space the floor better. All of this now allows the Pistons to mix up the lineups that they stick him in, as he can now be a viable shooting guard, small forward, and even maybe a backup power forward in spurts, and more versatility will equal more minutes and more trust. The next second-year player about to break out in a big way this season is Sheppard of the Houston Rockets. The Rockets had their big emergence last season, proving they belong among the best of the best in the West when they finished as the 2 seed, but getting eliminated in the first round of the playoffs was a humbling experience that let them know that just getting there is not good enough. Because of that, they got aggressive this summer when they acquired Kevin Durant, making their team even more locked and loaded to contend this upcoming season, but in order to do that, they offloaded a few members of their backcourt, and after a rookie season where Sheppard barely played at all, he now finds himself in a situation where he's probably going to be the backup point guard playing big minutes every night. Sheppard's numbers on paper don't look great from his rookie season, as he averaged just 4 points per game shooting the ball pretty poorly, as most rookies do. These numbers definitely don't tell the whole story though, because in his case, he was playing mostly garbage time and short stints on tight leashes, so the action he was a part of was mostly meaningless. What is notable though is that every time he did get a chance to play bigger minutes, he flashed more than enough upside to get excited about for the future. In the 4 games that he played over 20 minutes in, he flourished, putting up 25 points, 20 points, 16 points, and 14 points in those outings. What made Sheppard such a tantalizing prospect to the point where the Rockets drafted him 3rd overall was the fact that he's an incredibly under control and confident ball handler. He's an outstanding decision maker that makes the right reads more often than not without turning the ball over, and he's a tough 3-level scorer capable of overcoming his lack of high-end athleticism. In the Summer League, he ranked near the top of the event in scoring, averaging 23 points per game, and for a Rockets team that will need ball handlers and secondary scoring threats, I have full confidence in him being able to pack a punch leading the second unit. The next second-year player about to break out in a big way this season is Rob Dillingham of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Dillingham was in a similar position to Reed Sheppard last year as a rookie who was taken early on in the draft, but came into a playoff contender that didn't immediately have room for him in the rotation, nor did they believe they could trust the inconsistencies of a rookie as they vied for a deep playoff run. On top of the typical rookie inconsistencies and ups and downs, another reason Dillingham struggled to find playing time last season is that he was one of the lightest players in the whole league as an undersized 6'1" guard that weighed in at just 175 pounds, and that led to obvious defensive issues that he couldn't overcome on the offensive end yet. Yet is the key word there, though, because Dillingham is a player just oozing in natural playmaking talent, and with a year under his belt, there is clear opportunity for him to start to flourish in a position of need for this team. The Wolves are so close to getting over the hump at the top of the West, but their leader, Mike Conley, is about to turn 38 years old and is no longer anywhere close to good enough to be playing starters minutes on an NBA team, let alone one trying to win at the highest level. His presence as a leader is still valuable, but he's clearly lost a step, and that's where Dillingham has the chance to prove his worth as an incredible playmaker and shot creator. Dillingham's shiftiness, his ability to start and stop on a dime, his quick first step, and his impeccable ability to knock down shots from anywhere on the floor give him all of the makings of a microwave jolt of offense that could ignite this team's second unit this upcoming season. The Timberwolves didn't add any other point guards this summer either, despite knowing the position was a weak spot, which to me indicates that they have confidence in Dillingham's development in year 2, and like Reed Sheppard, didn't get many chances in NBA action, but when he did, he had quite a few electric outings where he scored in bunches, and on a more consistent basis, I think we could be seeing that from him next season. The next second-year player about to have a huge breakout season is Donovan Clingan of the Portland Trail Blazers. It needs to be said that Clingan's situation is much different than the other players we've discussed so far, in that he was actually pretty solid as a rookie from the get-go, but he only played about 19 minutes per game, so the sample size still left us wanting more. He also averaged just 6 points per game, which again isn't really turning any heads, but that's where the disappointment ends with him, because everything else about Clingan's game makes him poised to explode. Last season, the Trailblazers were a team that had a lot of things they needed to figure out. They were paying DeAndre Ayton a near-max contract, hoping he could be the center that anchors their squad moving forward, but every year it seems like Ayton's work ethic gets worse and worse, his play on the court got lazier over time, and the Trailblazers eventually got to the point where they said enough is enough, and they chose to buy Ayton out of his contract this summer instead of putting up with him anymore. Figuring out Ayton's future ended up being a big waste of time last season, as he was still playing 30 minutes a night game after game, and Clingan was his backup, who typically outperformed Ayton every time he subbed in, as the Blazers were actually 4.6 points better per 100 possessions with Clingan on the court. But now with Ayton out of town, the starting center spot belongs to him, and with starters minutes, there's a chance that Clingan establishes himself as one of the best defensive anchors in the entire league. Donovan Clingan averaged 8 rebounds per game last year and 1.6 blocks per game last year, which that one ranked 4th in the entire NBA. Fun fact, Donovan Clingan is the only player that ranked in the top 10 of the NBA in blocks that played fewer than 20 minutes per game. As a starter, potentially playing 30 minutes per game this upcoming season, I wouldn't be surprised to see him up there next to Victor Wembanyama, blocking close to 3 shots per game. As a rebounder, his per 36 numbers were 14 rebounds per 36, so with the NBA's leader in rebounding Domantas Sabonis having just averaged 14 last season, Clingan's got the tools to rank amongst the best in the NBA there as well. Clingan may never be a high-end scorer, but he's a physical force in the paint that knows how to use his size and length to alter shots and prevent easy looks at the rim from happening. For a young Trailblazers team in need of defensive improvement, they can confidently start to build around him as their anchor in the middle. And finally, the last second-year player we'll be discussing today that I think is about to break out is Baylor Scheierman of the Boston Celtics. Scheierman is someone that I'm definitely going out on a limb for as a selection in today's video because there isn't a whole lot pointing towards him being very good at the moment, but I'm keeping my focus on the long view here and can see that the good he has flashed make the bad much more tolerable, so allow me to explain. Scheierman was the last pick in the first round of the 2024 NBA draft, so it's not like he came in expected to be a top-tier lottery type of talent, and because the defending champion Celtics were the team that drafted him, there obviously weren't many minutes up for grabs for a rookie this past season since the rotation was pretty set in stone. A lot has changed between then and now though, as the Celtics now find themselves going into a bit of a brief rebuild year as they await the recovery of Jason Tatum from his torn Achilles, and after having traded away Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, and having lost Al Horford and Luke Kornet to free agency. There are a lot of minutes up for grabs all of a sudden, and whether Scheierman lands a spot in the starting lineup or remains coming off the bench, he'll still be playing regularly this year. The big appeal with Scheierman as a prospect was that he was a confident volume shooter from deep, with a sweet shooting stroke and an advanced understanding of movement on and off the ball. Plus, in the Summer League this year, he got to play more of an on-ball role and actually ranked in the top 5 of the whole Summer League in assists per game, dishing out about 7 a night, demonstrating the fact that he's actually a much better playmaker than most give him credit for as well. Now, as a rookie, his shooting splits were pretty abysmal, and in the Summer League, his shooting slump continued, which, for a player expected to shoot the lights out, is worrying, I'm not gonna lie. But the sample size has been very minuscule, and I'm willing to bank on a lifelong high-level shooter bouncing back from a shooting slump over time. He's going to have more freedom on the court this season due to the team's heavily reduced expectations, and he's actually a lot more skilled on the ball than I think most are aware of. So when he comes out of nowhere and proves to be a useful part of the rotation next season, don't say I didn't warn you. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below which second-year players you think are about to emerge this season. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.